Hey guys, and welcome to the podcast. On today's episode, we have Aku, and we're going to be talking about self-acceptance.
Hi guys, I'm Akuzike, not Aku. That's for family only.
Okay, so let's get right into it. What is self-acceptance?
So when you sent me this topic, I don't really have a definition of what self-acceptance is, but when I was thinking about it, I think that self-acceptance is like the backbone of self-love. And I feel like that's what everyone's been talking about, but like I don't think we actually know what self-love is. And I think self-acceptance is more coming to terms with things about ourselves, good things and the bad things, especially the bad things.
Yeah, because I think people have this idea where self-love comes first, and even when people talk about healing, etc., they always think the main aim is to focus on self-love. But how do you get to that level if you haven't accepted yourself first?
Exactly.
So that's basically the background of what we'll be talking about today. And yeah, so do you have any experiences with self-acceptance? Like, what made you, because I asked you about it before, and I told Aku, let's talk about self-love, and she said no, I think we should do self-acceptance.
Yeah.
So what really,
So basically, I think when was that, 2021? That's when I decided to start this self-love journey, and everyone was talking about self-love at the time. So that's when I started going to therapy. I was learning more about myself. But then as time went on, I started to realize that as much as therapy was good, and I learned a lot of things about myself, I realized that there's certain things that I actually hadn't come to terms with about myself and some of the things that I've done. And yeah, I kind of had to like look back and be like, what is loving yourself? And I realized that the love that I have for myself is conditional when it's supposed to be unconditional. Because I think when it's conditional, things will be going great and life is going good, like you're in tune and things are happening, you're achieving things, and then something happens. Like, are you okay with that? Are you still gonna accept yourself for what you did? Are you gonna say, okay, it's okay, give myself grace? And I realized I wasn't doing that, and I saw that the thing that I wasn't allowing myself to do is accept myself. And I remember my friend saying, you need to practice radical acceptance. Yeah.
So for you, that was like the big point where you're like, okay, what actually is self-acceptance?
Yeah.
And I think it's also this thing where when you do tend to love yourself, or you do tend to accept yourself, we need to look at it through God's lens as well. In the sense that there's what everybody is saying as well on social media, online, on what self-love looks like, taking a bubble bath or whatever.
Yeah.
But
like very surface level things.
Exactly.
Like self-care.
Self-care.
I think the self-love people are talking about is actually self-care. It's not actual love.
It's completely different. And when you do talk about loving yourself now, it's what is love? So for me, it was, okay, looking at what the Bible says about it. Is it patient? Is it kind? So when you're talking about extending that same grace to yourself, are you being patient with yourself?
Yes.
Are you being kind?
There's this verse in Romans, I think it's Romans 8:38 or something, the one that says that nothing can separate us from the love of Christ. And I think that's when I actually started meditating on that verse, and I was like, if God can, it says nothing can separate you from the love of Christ, nothing. So if God can accept me as I am, in no matter what state I'm in, why can I not accept myself
in that same way
and extend myself that same love and grace? Yeah.
Because the thing with God is omniscient, so He knows when you're going to mess up. He knows when things are going to go on track. And from the beginning, He said, I still love you.
Yeah.
He still loves you despite all of it. So obviously the way people perceive you is going to be different, but if God can give you that love,
yes,
as a person, you need to be able to say, okay, I can accept myself. I can love myself.
So basically, it's more of that like internal grounding of not being shaken. So, because I think in life and in general, there's a lot of like external influences, like people saying things to you, experiences, and then also your own voices. And you have to like fight all of that and say, I'm grounded, I'm this, I accept myself no matter what.
So it's like, despite what everyone else says to me, because it can be the smallest stuff, like you can remember something a teacher said to you in second grade that really hit you, and now you begin to internalize this stuff. So it can be as small as that. However, if you choose to focus, okay, this is what God says about me, this is what I think of myself, and you choose to focus on that, you carry yourself as a person differently, you accept yourself differently, because it's inevitable that you're going to face adversity, that you're going to go through stuff, that you're not always going to be on track. But it's how do you recover from that? How do you then talk to yourself?
Like, are you going to bounce back?
Are you going to bounce back? And like the major downfall of people is not being able to bounce back from what's happened to themselves, how they've been talking to themselves.
And not only bouncing back, because you can bounce back but not come to terms with the things that have happened. And I think a lot of people are actually like living in like autopilot, where it's just like you don't actually deal with anything, you're just living, you're doing what you have to do, you wake up, you go to work, you go to school, you do whatever you have to do, and you're just living, but you're not actually internalizing anything. And if you're not doing that, you can't actually experience growth.
So it's just like hammering through life until one day it's like you can't handle all of it anymore, because it's like, you know what,
and it shows up in different ways, like
the way you behave, the way you
anger,
treat people,
exactly how you treat people, how you treat yourself.
Exactly, that's when you're able to notice that, hey, maybe I actually didn't deal with this, maybe I actually need to go over this again. So it's easy, like once you accept it in the moment, once you accept yourself in the moment, that's when you can now look and say, hey, it's not something that you build up, it's not something that you carry with you like a burden in the process of
But then that's also the thing that people don't talk about again. The fact that it's an ongoing thing. It's not like it just happens. It's not like one day you wake up and you say, I accept myself. And then everything changes, you know? Every day you have to, there's this, in the Bible it says you have to carry your cross every day. You have to renew your mind every single day.
I die daily.
Exactly. Because our minds are constantly fighting with us. There's external influences, and like every single day you have to wake up and make a decision and, you know, be present with yourself, accept and practice everything, whether that means journaling, whatever you have to do.
So it has to be consistent as well. I mean, people make it seem like it's a phase, you know, like I'm going through a self-love journey.
And then after that, like I'm good.
And then they just go back to where they were before. So it's important to stay consistent with it and keep doing it. So,
like life is constant trauma, bruh.
So every day you have to choose to fight it, bruh. You know, to hammer through it. Advice in general, I think, to people that are out watching, or you tell them about self-acceptance, because I feel like we've spoken about it in the sense that this is how it's supposed to be. It's not, we haven't really given like a tutorial or a step-by-step thing. But if someone has realized that, okay, I haven't been loving myself, I haven't been on this journey, I haven't been accepting myself, where do they even start from?
That's a difficult question. I think that, I don't know, depending on how you process things, I think it's important to just look at where you are now, what you're going through now, and then I think everything else, when you have the ability to introspect, I feel like that's something that grows over time. It grows over time, but you have to first just take a look at where you are now. And
then from there you can now move on and see, okay, what do I do from here?
First of all, therapy. I think everyone should go to therapy. There's a lot of conflicting views on that, but I think everyone should go to therapy, because I don't think you need to have gone through some sort of huge trauma to go to therapy. I feel like life on its own is traumatic. So,
that, and I think just seeking God as well. In the sense that trying to actually understand what is God's love, you know, what is self-acceptance, and from there, now those are the building blocks, and making a lifelong commitment really to choosing to love yourself no matter what, accept yourself no matter what the circumstance, no matter how bad you mess up. Deciding I'm going to accept myself.
Yeah, and
I'm going to be honest with myself, you know.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think it's really important that you mentioned God, because I think I found God at my lowest, and I think it was the realization that there's a higher power that loves me, that accepts me. And I just feel like there's something wonderful about that. Like there's something beautiful, and there's just the wonder knowing that there is a God who created the universe, and he loves me, he accepts me, and he wants to take care of me. And I think that can be the beginning of your journey.
Yeah.
In accepting yourself, because I think on your own it's difficult to, because you don't really have a reason to, you know. Like it gives you hope to know that you can keep going. Purpose, and just the knowledge that that there's something you're here to do on earth. Like,
there's a reason for you being here. There's a reason that you should accept yourself, that you should love yourself.
Yes.
So when you can find that point, when you can find that reason, just remember that God always has a reason to love you.
Exactly.
So it just gives you a starting point, and you now know, okay, even though I don't feel this way about myself now, here are reasons why I should feel this way. And you can just go from there. And obviously it is a journey, it's a lifelong journey. But throughout time and experience, I guess.
Like it's not like it's just like this upward thing.
It's like a skill almost.
There's gonna be some low points, and even in the low points and the high points, like God's gonna accept you in all of those.
Regardless,
there's no reason for you not to.
Okay, so that's this episode, guys. I have Akuzike with me, and you'll see her a lot more. And thanks for watching.